Okay, here we go. Let's see. Today is March 24th, 2025, and we are here for the regular meeting of the Bernie ISD Independent School or Bernie ISD Board of Trustees. So we will call that to order and establish our quorum. We have Carlin Fryer, Dallas Pipes, Maritza Gonzalez Cooper, Dr. Kristen Kraft, myself, Garrett Wilson, Christy Schmidt, Courtney Darter Bruce, and Rich Senna. So we've got 7 out of 7, which is a quorum. At this time, we will go into closed session to discuss Texas Government Code 551074, deliberation regarding matters related to employment, appointments, resignations, terminations, retirements, and reassignments. Texas Government Code 551.0821, deliberation of personally identifiable information about a public school student. Texas Government Code 551.072, discussion of purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. And at this time, it is 5:01, and we will go into closed session. Good evening, everyone. We are going to reconvene back into open session. We'll reestablish our quorum. We've got Carlin Fryer, Dallas Pipes, Maritza Gonzalez Cooper, Dr. Kristen Kraft, myself, Garrett Wilson, Christy Schmidt, Courtney Darter Bruce, and Rich Senna. So we have everyone, and the time is 6:31, so we'll reconvene, and we'll go to the Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead.
Good evening. At this time, please stand for the presentation of colors by the award-winning Bernie champion JROTC Color Guard. Please join our students from Bernie Middle School North for the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and prayer. Thank you, and please be seated. Mr. President and trustees, our students from Bernie Middle School North have some great questions for you this evening.
There are 3 foreign languages currently offered at the high school level. Are there plans for more language classes, considering over 30 languages are spoken in our district?
Well, thanks for being here, and good question. Does anybody, you want to take that? Okay, great.
Okay, so we do have the 3 as you pointed out, and actually I said, well, we actually have 4 if you count English. So English, Spanish, of course, German, and sign language. Do you have any suggestions as to what other languages would be interesting to have or to offer? No? Have you all noticed that there's a specific language that's spoken on campus where you're at? No?
Good question. You know, I would say that if there's, in the past, if there's been a lot of support for adding a language to the curriculum, that the students can bring that forward. And if there's a lot of support for it, then, you know, you could look at adding it. So one, we got to find a teacher that can speak the language and teach it. And then two, you have to have enough support for that from the students that people will sign up for the class. So.
Are there more resources for students find grants, scholarships, college? Other districts offer individual meetings to help students know about opportunities.
Do you know where you want to go to college yet? Not yet. So I can help you answer that question. I have a senior this year, and I'm really getting to know all the support that he's getting as far as grants and scholarships, because it can seem a little overwhelming at times. So when I'm out and about at Bernie High School, I see the counselors, and they have their desks basically on wheels, and they're rolling out to those English classes, and they're meeting with students one-on-one, just like you heard about in the other districts. So our counselors are meeting with the students one-on-one to make sure that they have all the supplies they need. They're writing their college essays in their English class in their senior year. They have Google Classroom codes, so each class has a different Google Classroom code that's really designed to help them stay in the know as to what scholarship opportunities are coming up and what grants are coming open. And one last exciting thing that I'll share, Ms. Pomeroy and her idea with her team in creating the Care and Share Center, there's going to be kind of a separate part to that as well that will mimic Cafe College. So that'll be a place where you can go to get support for all of those things you mentioned.
Are there going to be more career clusters added to high school? For example, one of the student council members wants to be a lawyer, but there's not a cluster at like.
Are you one of the ones that wants to be a lawyer? Okay, that's a good question. Right now, we have 11 clusters with 18 pathways. And for a district our size, 18 is considered quite a few. I believe there's as many as 26 pathways. Is that correct, Ms. Willis? Okay, there's 26. So we actually have room for 8 more in what's available. We did add real estate this year. We kind of respond to the market. As you know, cybersecurity is a big industry in San Antonio, so we have one of the PTechs, the Pathway Technology Early College High School. Health careers is a huge, it's 1/6 of the economy. So there is an opportunity for growth, and I think a lot of it, the same with foreign languages, is based on the demand, based on the economy, based on the area, what they would be interested in. But certainly, we love giving students lots of choices because that just expands their educational opportunities.
I got a question for you. What sector of law do you plan on practicing?
I don't actually know.
I will say, my mic. I will say that we do have debate, and you can practice in high school.
And there's one more thing. Mrs. Willis, maybe you could wave to the group. If you want to lobby for anything after you're done, she's the lady that oversees that, so, you know.
How can students become more involved in decision-making process, provide input?
I'll take that one. So Dr. Kraft, as part of the superintendent, she has student advisory councils at the high school level, and carried that on from our prior superintendent, where students are selected and meet with the superintendent. I think it's at least a quarterly basis, maybe a monthly basis. But one of the things that Dr. Kraft instituted this year were listen and learns at each of the campuses. And so There were roughly, we did the high schools in the fall, earlier in the spring, we did the middle schools, and then we're going through the elementary schools now. But Dr. Kraft and then 2 or 3 of the board trustees go and sit down with 10, 15, 20 students from each of those campuses. And it really is, we're there to listen and learn, what you think is going right in the district, what things that you think can be changed. And so you guys are already leaders on your campus, obviously, if you're involved with student council. So use the opportunity to take advantage of asking the questions and go to your principal. And if they don't know, you can find our email addresses on the district website. So.
And I have kind of a personal testimony about that. My youngest is in 5th grade, and he was just really concerned about something on his campus, and he thinks he can bring all the problems to me, and we can fix them together, talk about them. And I said, well, son, you need to learn to advocate for yourself. So him and his teacher worked together on a really nice letter to Mr. Duano, and just talking about something he was really concerned about. And it was so thoughtful because Mr. Duano wrote him back and said, you know what, I went and kind of investigated and kind of see what you're saying, and I think we'll look more into this. And so I think what's so great about Bernie ISD is that it's a place that empowers students, that y'all can be a part of the process, and you are. And so I just say for you to challenge your peers, your classmates to, let's come up with a plan. Let's come up with ideas of other pathways that we can pursue, or, just don't think because you're young that we're not going to listen. Because you're young, we do listen. Y'all have amazing ideas, and I want you to feel empowered and courageous and strong, and encourage your classmates that, y'all are why we get to do this. This is such an honor to get to serve like this, but use your voice, because we hear. It's amazing. So thank y'all for your questions today.
Great job.
How can we implement more engagement in everyday lesson plans?
Say it again.
How can we implement more engagement in everyday lesson plans?
Would you like me to take that one?
Sure.
So teachers are always shifting, class period by class period, day by day, and they are actively shifting what happens day to day. So please give feedback to your teachers. They closely watch how far students get in a day, and they're always making tweaks. They work with their grade level or their department in their professional learning communities, and they're always responding to data, and the student voice is a form of data. So don't be shy.
And ladies, before you sit down, if you could introduce yourself and tell us what your grade is, because I'll tell you, these were some good questions, clearly indicating you're more mature and an older grade. So these were very well thought out.
I'm Casey Lim, and I'm in 8th grade.
And I'm Avery Graham, and I'm in
Awesome.
Let's give a
Thanks for
round of
coming.
applause to our students from Bernie Middle School North. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. President, our trustees, and Dr. Kraft to join me on the floor for our commendations. All right, for our first commendation, congratulations to the Texas State German Contest winners. Nearly 650 German students from 40 schools across Texas competed in over 90 events at the Texas State German Contest. We're thrilled to recognize the outstanding achievements of our students. Thank you to our students and to our parents. Let's give them a round of applause. Tonight, we'd like to take a moment to recognize and sincerely thank the dedicated members of the Budget Strategy and Advisory Committee. Through 5 in-depth meetings, this committed group has carefully evaluated resources, explored new opportunities, and provided valuable recommendations to help shape the financial future of our district. Let's give a big round of applause to the Budget Strategy and Advisory Committee. Next up, we're excited to recognize a group of educators who embody dedication, passion, and unwavering commitment to their students. This recognition is not about the lessons they teach, but about the lives they change. Let's welcome our 2025 Bernie ISD Teachers of the Year. Denise Bakar, Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary. Janet Briggs, Champion High School. Anna Maria Carrillo, Bernie Academy. Christopher Carter, Bernie High School. Beth Elsroad, Herf Elementary. Yvette Faulkner, Currington Elementary. Maddie Finley, Kendall Elementary. Ariana Garza, Captain Mark T. Voss Middle School. Beth Jackson, Fabra Elementary. Christine McCauley, Cibolo Creek Elementary. Marguerite Surley, Bernie Middle School South. Amber Wiedenfeller, Viola Wilson Elementary. Mary Whitaker, Bernie Middle School North, and Sarah Wilson, Van Robb Elementary. Let's give our Teachers of the Year a huge round of applause. Tonight, we're thrilled to recognize the incredible contributions of our newest Bernie ISD educators. Each one of them has brought fresh ideas, energy, and a genuine love for teaching. They have faced the challenges of a first-year experience with resilience and grace, quickly becoming an integral part of our school family. Let's welcome our 2025 Bernie ISD Rookies of the Year. Josh Atkins, Champion High School. Olivia Bacon, Kendall Elementary. Robert Clark, Cibolo Creek Elementary. Jesse Goodman, Mark T. Voss Middle School. Nancy Martinez, Herf Elementary. Zoe McMahon, Bernie Middle School South. Melanie Reed, Bernie High School. Emily Rodriguez, Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary. Olivia Wegrung, Bernie Middle School North. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Our next commendation is to celebrate some of the most dedicated, hardworking, and selfless individuals in Bernie ISD, our incredible support staff. You are the ones who ensure our campuses are safe, our students are fed, our buildings are maintained, our buses run on time, and our classrooms are ready for learning. Let's welcome our 2025 Bernie ISD Support Staff of the Year. Rick Bacchus in the Maintenance Department, Deb Beck at Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary, Christy Bergman at Bernie High School, Deanne Burhard at Fabra Elementary, Tiffany Berner at Bernie Middle School North, Catherine Cadenhead at Mark T. Voss Middle School, Paul Everett in the Technology Department, Christina Holt at Cibolo Creek Elementary, Billy Lloyd at Bernie Middle School South, Celia Moreno at Currington Elementary, Amy Pritchard at Champion High School, Melanie Solomon at Van Rob Elementary, Michelle Tazinski at Kendall Elementary, James Valderas at Herf Elementary, Jerry Willis in the Transportation Department. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Our next commendation recognizes an extraordinary leader and true champion for students. This principal has a passion for student success, a strong commitment to his teachers, and an unwavering belief in the power of education. Congratulations to your HEB Excellence in Education Principal finalist, Troy Ladiolis. Want to go? I know. There you go. Let's give him a huge round of applause. It is with immense pride and joy that we celebrate the outstanding achievements of the Champion High School girls swim team. They won the UIL 5A State Team Championship. They won for the girls 200 medley relay, the girls 400 free relay. The girls 100 fly was Kate Canales. She won a gold medal, and she won a gold medal and broke the 5A state record in the girls 100 breaststroke. Girls were the overall team champion this year. And here are our boys as well. Boys 200 free relay state champion. They broke the 5A state record. And the boys 400 free relay, 4th place. Boys 200 freestyle, they won a 5A state record, gold medal. And the 100 boys freestyle, they won a silver medal. Boys 50 freestyle, Will Harrison won the bronze medal. Boys 200 free relay, they won as well. Amazing year for our boys and girls swim team. Our final commendation for today, congratulations to these extraordinary students from Bernie High School, Champion High School, Bernie Middle School North for earning the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. This prestigious national award is given to individuals who dedicate their time, talent, and heart to serving their communities. Commitment to service is one of our Bernie ISD core values. Service is not about the number of hours logged. It's about the lives touched, the smiles shared, and the ripple effect of kindness. Let's give our Presidential Volunteer Service gold, silver, and bronze recipients a huge round of applause. Let's give them a huge round of applause, and also thank you to their parents. This concludes our commendations for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Reyna. Great job.
Like so.
Local celebrity.
He is a local celebrity.
I know, usually. Filter out a little bit.
Hey, folks, now that many people are leaving, this is not like church where you got to be in the back row. Come on up front.
There we go. Look, there's just a couple moving there. All right, so that's always the funnest part of the night. And at this time, let's see. Well, we've still got the BEF Wow moment. Go ahead.
Tonight's BF Wow moment takes us to Currington Elementary, where you'll see how yoga mats create a soothing environment for young hearts and minds. You'll want to say namaste after watching this video. Let's check it out.
Hi, my name is Mila, Piper, and Maddie. Welcome to Currington Elementary School. Today's wow moment will be in Miss Porter's classroom, where the students are learning about the Breathe for Change.
We were lucky enough to get a BEF grant for our some yoga mat. Our grant is called Breathe for Change, and it is one of the many ways that we are working to help our students learn to regulate some of those big emotions and refocus and have good starts to their day. And just think about what you want for the day, right? You want to be happy. You want to make those good choices. And it's been wonderfully successful that these kids, they feel happier, they feel ready, they're focused. In the middle of the day, I use yoga as a movement break, and so we play some yoga games, and some of my little kinder kids really just need that wiggle time, and it's been wonderful to be able to do that with them as well. And it's just a wonderful tool to help these kids do that.
Thank you for supporting every student, every teacher, and every school in Bernie ISD.
Thank you for celebrating these moments with us.
There it goes. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so great. The next item up on our agenda, we have visitor comments and testimonials. I'll go ahead and read our statement for public comments. The board encourages comments about the district from citizens of the district or from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or as a representative of a group, may do so at this time. The board asks that each participant's comments pertain to public education and be no longer than 3 minutes. The overall time limit for comments will be 30 minutes. Remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on our agenda. If an issue mentioned is listed on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion of the issue until the appropriate time during the meeting. The board encourages the public to discuss concerns with an appropriate administrator who has the authority to address the concerns. Concerns should be expressed as soon as possible to allow early resolution at the lowest possible administrative level. Finally, please be aware that rules of decorum will be enforced during the public comment period and throughout the meeting. Disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Those who choose to engage in disruptive behavior may be asked to leave. Each participant is legally responsible for the content and consequences of his or her own statements. And then copies of our district policies on public participation in meetings can be found at www.bernieisd.net. All right, great. So we've got a couple of people signed up here. First up, we've got Caroline Sediak.
Hello and good evening. My name is Caroline Sedlak, and I'm the president of Champion High School's chapter of FCCLA, which stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. Many of you may be familiar with the Future Homemakers of America, which changed its name in 1999 to FCCLA, which is an organization dedicated to community service, and is the only organization in the nation that has the family as the central focus. Today, I stand before you to express our sincere gratitude for your unwavering support. You've allowed our organization to thrive, making a meaningful impact on our school's community and the lives of individuals over the past 25 years of Bernie ISD FCCLA's existence. Reflecting on this school year, I want to share some highlights of the service projects undertaken by our organization and its dedicated members. FCCLA makes it a mission to conduct and participate in service projects each month, with 3 total service projects, 2 donations, and at least 1 hands-on service project from each member. We began the year with our annual 3-part service project in October, involving the Country Bend subdivision. Members decorated cards to invite members of the Country Bend subdivision to donate to Hill Country Daily Bread. Then we picked up the donations and sent them to Hill Country Daily Bread, where they were distributed to families in the Bernie community and in surrounding areas. October also marked the start of our popcorn fundraiser, in which members sell popcorn to the community and campus in order to raise funds for FCCLA. In November, we initiated a partnership with Blessings in a Backpack, where members donated jars of peanut butter to support families in need. For the Christmas season in December, FCCLA members came up 2 days after school to help set up and take down the beautiful FCCLA Christmas tree, and FCCLA sponsors the Farm of Christmas Trees in the foyer for all the organizations to show off their organization. As we entered the new year, January was dedicated to the Charming Pet Rescue organization, and members donated pet supplies and went and volunteered at Charming Pet Rescue to help walk the dogs and other helpful activities. Continuing on to February, our biggest month for FCCLA, it's National FCCLA Week, and this year our theme was Career Connection. We had Mr. Rick Dempsey come speak about the theme, and we had our tradition of pie baking, in which our members baked pies to show appreciation for both central office and for CHS faculty. Conducting the school year, FCCLA's March Service Project, in which we sell root beer floats to CHS students to raise money for FCCLA and the Spring Fling event at Champion. In my 6 years at FCCLA, 4 of which I proudly served as officer, the impact on my life has been profound, and this club has been more of an extracurricular, and I want to thank all of you for that. FCCLA provided valuable opportunities for school and community involvement, fostering a deep appreciation for many blessings surrounding this life and in the school district. Through many service projects and leadership roles, I've learned the importance of empathy, collaboration, and effective leadership. FCCLA not only influenced my present, but has instilled a commitment to making a positive difference in the world around me in the future. Looking ahead, I'm so excited to see what FCCLA will accomplish in the future, and I cannot do it without all of your help. So thank you again for not only your support, for your dedication to the future of growth, collaboration, and success for all BISD schools and clubs.
Wow.
Good night.
Awesome. Wonderful. That was well timed. Thank you. And thank you for your service. Really appreciate that. I'm not supposed to go. Let's see. Next up, we've got Addison Hayes.
Good evening. My name is Addison Hayes, and I'm a senior at Champion High School, and I am president of Skills USA Architecture Club for 2024 through 2025. It is my privilege to speak to you tonight representing our organization. Skills USA is a United States career and technical student organization serving more than 395,000 high school, college, and middle school students and professional members enrolled in training programs in trade, technical, and skilled service occupations. We focus on best practices in the workplace, creativity on the job, problem solving, learning from guest speakers, and giving to others through community service. We have guest speakers like local architect Ben Adam. We practice our drafting skills with sketches, practice professionalism in the workplace, and enjoy participating in community service projects. All members are required to participate in community service projects. Our membership is composed of students from both Bernie and Champion High School, of which 45% are freshmen, 35% are sophomores, 15% are juniors, and 5% are seniors. We have been an organized club since 2020. Our membership has grown from 12 members to 65 members just this year. We are looking forward to the growth with the freshman class next year. Our club sponsor is Mrs. Jan Haney, architecture and design teacher at Champion High School. Also, a special thanks goes to Lenice Graves, founder and architectural design teacher, for her support of the organization. Because of this club and my architecture teachers, I have been given many wonderful opportunities, such as building my leadership, responsibilities, and I was recently a winner of an architecture contest. Thank you for your time and support of our very important organization.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Good comments. Okay, so that wraps up, that's our two speakers. That wraps up the visitor comments. Next, I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. Got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
I'm sorry, is this the consent agenda, Mr. Wilson?
Just approval of
Okay.
just the agenda in general
Okay,
at
thank
this
you.
point, yeah. So we got all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, great. Next up, we've got consider action, if any, regarding items discussed in closed session. We've got two motions that need to be made here. First off, I would entertain a motion to proceed as discussed in closed session. Got a first?
Second.
And go ahead. Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same side. Okay, and then next up, we've got approval of the personnel items. Are we doing this?
Mr.
Well, go
President,
ahead.
The board approve the personnel report as discussed in closed session.
Okay, got a first and a second? Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, let's.
Did we all vote?
Yeah, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, so we passed that. All right, now we can.
Yes, we have an
Move on to
introduction
the-
to make.
We're just like,
So we are really pleased to introduce Marche Wolf has been named Director of Student Information Systems and Data Operations. Congratulations. Ms. Wolf has 29 years of experience in education. Currently, she has been our coordinator of elementary reading and language arts since 2020, doing phenomenal work with our literacy program. You may know her as principal of Kendall Elementary. She has a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M, her master's degree from UTSA, and she has phenomenal, robust, well-rounded experience, not only as a campus leader, but as a district leader, and has a really fresh perspective in data and systems and all that entails. So we're really excited for Marche and her next step. Can you introduce any guests you have tonight? All right, congratulations. Let's take a picture. Okay, join us down front for a picture.
Marche, excuse me, my voice, my allergies are killing me right now. I was going to say, I remember when you were pregnant with Carter. Yes. Wow, time flies, doesn't it? Well, congratulations. We're happy for you.
Okay, congratulations. All right, great. So we've got those two motions done. Let's see, next up, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda if there's no discussion there.
well, I have a comment I just wanted to bring forth, if I may. As we are transitioning from Eureka Math to Bluebonnet Math, I just wanted to clarify that this transition from Eureka to Bluebonnet Math does give our district funding of up to $60 per student. The program fully covers all of our TEKs, and it has nothing to do with the Bluebonnet literacy, which is a reading curriculum. So we have a great reading and language arts curriculum in place at this time. that we are not changing. So same name, two different companies, and I just wanted to point that out.
Any other discussion? We got a,
Just a question for Dr. Kraft. So that's the $60, is that per elementary student?
Yes, sir.
That's a good amount of money. Good. Make Wes happy.
right.
Is there a motion? Do you want
we
me to
got a,
second?
yeah, we got a first from Rich. Second, okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Great. Let's see here. So the consent agenda is approved. And next up, we've got board member reports. Christy, you mind if we start with you and we'll just circle on around?
Our PTO presidents met on Friday, March 21st. We had district updates from Dr. Kraft that included attendance, enrollment, and our up-and-coming registration for 25-26, which is ready to go. Dr. O'Hare gave us an update on transportation and the MAP software. And Mr. Romero, they got to meet Mr. Romero Guerrero as our new Executive Director of Operations, and he discussed his new role and how he can help partner with our PTO projects. We had collaboration time, as always, and it's spring is in the air. There's lots of spring activities going on around our PTOs, such as spring PTO grant requests, spring flings, family fiestas, readathon fundraisers, and several campus beautification projects. We had our Bernie Middle School South PTO close on a corporate sponsor, so they now have a golf cart at their campus thanks to their PTO. And our next PTO meeting will be April 4th, and on May 9th, the board will hold their annual PTO appreciation breakfast. And that is all I have.
Great, thanks.
Nothing major to report for any meetings that I've been to. Looking forward to reporting next month on systems of care.
Wonderful. Mr. Sinna? Sure. I'll go next.
Sure, I'll go over finance. So we met on the 19th. Just a couple of topics, although it's a lengthy meeting. We talked about as we continue to begin working on the 25-26 budget, just the continuing efforts that we were working on to reduce expenditures and the anticipated impact of proposed legislation. And then we did an overview of the 22 bond and kind of got an update. And then Mr. Scott presented financial information on the management of the project expenditures and the related debt to those projects. And that would be it for the Finance Committee.
Anything? Okay. We did have a BEF monthly meeting, which was great because we've got Rock On coming up this Saturday. So everybody make plans to attend. It's the event of the year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's, what is it, Nashville Nights is the theme. Perfect. So bidding opens this week. I'll say it for the microphone for online. So go ahead and start that up. So should be fun. Mr. Sinna.
Okay, let's see. Okay, great. I'm going to do a legislative update. We are in the middle of the legislative session. The 14th of March was the deadline to file a bill for consideration. There were over 7,000 bills filed. Usually 600 or 700 get passed, so making it past the gate is a challenge. But we're going to go through just some high-level reviews of things that would impact our school district. Okay. House Bill 2 is school finance, and what it does is it budgets about $8 billion of new money for public ed, a $220 increase to the basic allotment, a lot of additional funding for special education that is largely due to the work of a committee, the continuing Review Committee for Special Ed. The teacher incentive allotment, it will receive additional funding. Targeted funding for a variety of items, including the creation of a small fine arts allotment, not a very big one, like $15 million a year. It's not much for the whole state. And security is included in there as well, a doubling of the safety allotment. Money dedicated to a small and mid-sized district allotment, which would not affect us. There was a 22-hour long public hearing on March 10th. It started at 8 in the morning, went to 6:30 the next day. And I watched part of it, and most of the legislators were still there at 6:30 in the morning. So that was a pretty crazy day. Okay, so that's the school finance portion. In the Senate, they have a number of bills that will affect funding for public education. The largest amount of their money is dedicated in Senate Bill 26, which is included in the Senate budget. Now, tomorrow, Senate Bill 1, which is the budget, will be reviewed and discussed and debated on the floor of the Senate. My understanding is don't expect any major changes to the budget. There might be a few tweaks in the Senate, or the House, they're expecting a lot more amendments and modifications. Senate Bill 1, which is the budget, includes funding for Senate Bill 26, which is a teacher raise. And we reviewed this last month. For those teachers with 3 to 4 years, there's a $2,500 to $5,000 raise built in, an allotment, which is one of our legislative priorities, was create a permanent teacher retention allotment that the state funds with this $24 billion that they've got. The $5,000 would go to districts under 5,000 students, the $2,500 over 5,000 students. And then if you've got 5 years or more, it's $5,500 for districts above 5,000, $10,000 for below. About 83% of the districts in the state have less than 5,000 students. So even though that's only 20% of the teachers, there are folks in Austin in key elected positions that like the sound of 83% of districts giving out a $10,000 raise to teachers with 5 years or more. That's a great soundbite, but we're not one of those districts. And they've actually tweaked this bill a little bit based on some comments that we offered to them. The author, originally it was 4 and 10, and so they revised it a little bit. Senate Bill 26 also would expand the teacher incentive allotment to a similar amount, an identical amount that the House does. It adds children of public school teachers to those who qualify for free pre-K services. It's about a $5 billion package, and it passed on a unanimous 31-0 bipartisan vote. So the Senate is making a clear statement that they want to improve teacher pay. The Senate also has Senate Bill 260, which increases the safety allotment from $10 per ADA to $28. Originally it was $20, and then when the committee reviewed it, they increased it to $28. And that doubles the allotment per campus for school safety from $15,000 to $30,000. This would generate a nice infusion of dollars. Senate Bill 260 is also included in their budget, their proposed budget, Senate Bill 1. And the last thing that's included in Senate Bill 1 is the funding for Senate Bill 568 on special ed. It includes many of the recommendations from the Continuing Advisory Committee for Special Ed. However, its dedication of extra dollars, new dollars, is quite a bit below the House version. It's about $500 million as opposed to $1.5 billion or $1.8 billion on the House side. So when you add up all these things, there's at least $6 billion of new money for public ed in the Senate, and I mentioned it's $8 billion in the House. Now they're going with fairly different concepts. I mean, the Senate is putting the vast majority of new money for public ed into teacher pay, school safety, which is great, some for special ed. The House takes a more holistic approach, and they're throwing a lot of money at special ed because it's estimated that special ed is underfunded by about $2 billion per biennium, and the House version is trying to rectify that. It also funds safety, but not the $220 increase in the basic allotment with the proper hold harmlesses would generate, some money for us, but it would nowhere be as dramatic in terms of teacher pay as the Senate bill is. It just isn't. So, you can pick. And I asked, Carlin and I were on a call a few weeks ago with a political leader in the state of Texas who interviewed Chairman Buckley of the House Education Chairman. And I asked the question, how do you reconcile the difference? Because y'all have quite different philosophies of how the money is going to be spent. And his comment was, well, I have a really good relationship with Chairman Creighton, Chairman of the Education Committee in the Senate, and we'll just work things out and we'll come up with a compromise. Now, whether that means they split the difference down the middle, I have no idea. But, I'm sure they will come to a meeting of the minds. Now, of course, everything could fall apart and none of this could happen. But I think the optics of nothing happening is just not very good. There would be an uproar, particularly if you're going to throw $1 billion for vouchers or whatever, ESAs, whatever you want to call it. Okay. There's a number of bills on cell phone usage, and I thought it would be interesting to share. The one that's gaining a lot of traction is House Bill 1481. Representative Carolyn Fairley, she is a freshman out of the Lubbock area. It would ban the use of cell phones, smartwatches throughout the school day. It has 79 co-sponsors. It is a bipartisan bill and apparently is attracting a lot of positive reaction. It had a hearing on March 18th. It's still in committee. It'll be voted on at a committee at some point. I don't think a date's been set yet. So our state senator, Senator Donna Campbell, has filed Senate Bill 1459, which apparently is pretty darn close to 1481. Our state rep, Ellen Troxclair, and Brandon Creighton also filed bills. There's a lot of bills about cell phones. Commissioner Morath is supportive of a ban, and Representative Fairley made the comment that, this really is something that belongs in the school districts, but we'll be the bad guys. I'm like, okay, they're going to be the bad guys. So there you go. That's an update on cell phones. Property tax relief. Senator Betancourt, who's an expert on property taxes in the Senate, is proposing an increase in the homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000. That would be the first $140,000 of your home is exempt from school taxes, whether it's M&O or INS. And ISDs would be made whole, according to them, based on to counter any loss we would lose from that increase in the homestead exemption. The House takes a different approach. They propose additional commercial property tax relief and maintenance and operations tax rate reduction. 2 years ago, the homestead exemption won out, and I wouldn't bet against the Senate, but we'll see what happens. They'll both pass their versions of property tax relief, and we'll take it from there. Regarding ESAs, education savings accounts, vouchers, whatever you want to call them, there are some similarities between the Senate bill and the House bill. They both say they can be used for private school tuition, textbooks, transportation, and therapy. They both fund $1 billion over 2 years. It would, and this is a concerning point, allow state leaders to add money to the program between sessions by pulling from other agencies. That doesn't sound very fair. And neither bill requires participating private schools to accept students that do not meet their standards. So unlike public schools where we take everyone, that would not be the requirement. There are some differences. In the Senate, they dedicate $10,000 per student. The House bill is at 85% of the state and local funding, comes to an average of about $10,500, so pretty close. The Senate bill offers a little bit more money for students with disability. The House bill, up to $30,000. So if you are a child that has serious educational disabilities and you go to a private school that may charge $25,000, $30,000, you could conceivably get that amount paid for in a ESA. The Senate bill reserves 80% of spots for public school students with disabilities or families up to 500% of the poverty level. And that comes to $156,000 for a family of 4. The House takes a different approach. They prioritize students with disabilities, and up to 200% of the poverty level, which is 62,000. Big difference. But then once those two have been exhausted, then it opens up to families between 200 and 500%. And once that's been exhausted, they can go above the 500%. But the bottom line is, once the $1 billion is allocated, it's done. There's a cap. It's estimated that there'll be about 100,000 of these things approved, which is less than 2% of the number of children in the state. Most states that have these average in the 3 to 4% range. So who knows where it's going to go? Yes, sir.
And the homeschool portion of this comes out of the same pool of money.
Yes, good
So
question.
their numbers, whenever I'm doing the math, because 3% also is a service charge of the companies that are going to be running this program.
Right.
So the math is really difficult to get to where they're going.
Yeah, 3% of the billion, 30 million to pay education assistance organizations that will screen the applications, verify the applications, and approve the applications. So that's their overhead cost. And homeschool, in the Senate version, it was at least 2,000, whereas the House says it's a cap of 2,000. And I've got kids that are homeschooled in my Sunday school class, and I ask the parents, what do you spend? And it really depends. I mean, parents that really do all the teaching themselves might spend $500-600 for a curriculum. But then there are parents that will put their kids in a hybrid program where it's 2 or 3 days at home, 2 or 3 days at a private school. Well, is that really homeschooling? That's kind of a hybrid model,
Yeah, no, I think the homeschooling side of it, I think, is a really interesting portion if they can get support and work with homeschooling groups, because it seems like the group they're trying to support doesn't actually back the support they would be getting. And that's a really interesting thing. But going to curriculum, I think, is really good. But I wish that they would work with them. I think that's a portion of people who definitely could use some help.
Well, there's no doubt there's a lot of opposition to this concept in the homeschool community. And a lot of them don't like it. They were worried about government control, which, of course, anyone that deals with public school knows we have all sorts of mandates that come from Austin and Washington. They like mandates. They don't like to pay for the mandates. They like to give the mandates, But that's, what can you expect? So that's just an update on what's going on.
Thanks. Very good. Okay, Dr. Kraft, on to you.
All right, thank you. So as we're listening, I just want to say thank you to all of our trustees for their involvement and engagement, from your committee reports to keeping up with the legislative session, to being at campuses and schools on short notice or even with planned notice, that you all are everywhere. April 1st is going to be a very big day for our ribbon cuttings in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, and then ending that day, kind of all over the place kind of day, ending it at Champion High School for their ribbon cutting of the new classroom addition there. So as of Friday, March 21st, our enrollment is at 11,131. And right after we came back from spring break, we officially launched our BISD in the Know campaign. The first message went out last week to over 14,000 community members, and more will be coming. Really looking at every Wednesday, getting a message out there to our community about the facts of where we stand with our finances. And I do recall one of my first interviews with this team, you all talked about the commitment to mental health supports all across the county of Kendall County. And I just want to give a few remarks about the work of the Kendall County Behavioral Health Advisory Coalition. It is making tremendous strides and really championed by Bryce Bodie, a fabulous partner of the school district. And there have been community meetings taking place. There's working group meetings. Krista Pomeroy is, I think, a chair of the education working group. We had a meeting last week in Comfort, and the focus there was on how does the Kendall County community serve older adults. And so it really is fascinating to see that these conversations are taking place to really shape the future, to make sure that families have the supports that they need no matter what stage of life that they're in. And we're honored to be a part of that work with Krista Pomeroy, Rick Goodrich, and their teams as we build the relationships and just really think about what are the needs of Kendall County as we move forward. And as you've seen, we've outstanding students left and right, and you saw great examples of that tonight. But just a few other, pieces of information. Champion High School announced that their student-led inaugural Hope in Motion 5K is held on April 12th. If you run, if you walk, they'll take you. Hope in Motion. And Curington Elementary, I received an invitation from them. Their fifth graders are going to be showcasing their work at a scholastic exhibit at the Holocaust Museum of San Antonio on Sunday, April 27th at 3:30. And if you're interested, we can get you those details. The Bernie Middle School South Orchestra had a clean sweep, superior ratings at UIL, and we celebrated Kindness Week across Bernie ISD by collecting peanut butter and socks for Love Kendall County kids across all of our campuses. And as you've seen through our students who spoke tonight and the two young ladies during the pledges, really the core value of commitment to service rings out loud and proud with every organization, from our elementary kids and the Interact Club, and we're planting trees at Fabra on Friday morning, to the students who spoke about their commitments to their CTE groups. Everything is about community and service to our beautiful community, and just that's one of my favorite core values that I'm really glad that we landed on. Some other information coming from our education and training program. Our sponsor, Stacy Murrah, shared exciting numbers with us that her number of students has increased, more than doubled, from 16 students to 40 students. And so when you think about the number of, or how do you add a class, adding classes come with student interest, but it also is paired with an energetic, exciting teacher that is really promoting the programs. And you're going to hear an update this afternoon on CTE programming as well. Another example of students really taking charge of their learning is our Champion High School robotics team. So over spring break, I got an invitation to go see them compete. This is my button. They're the Rocketeers. And they did a great job down at the Freeman Coliseum. They have other competitions coming up, and we'll have a chance for you to meet them once their season ends. But the Champion High School robotics team did win the Autonomous Award. They can tell you all about it. And then Catherine Garver was recognized as Outstanding Safety Ambassador at that competition. And as we are always looking for process improvements, as we move into the next year, you heard a little bit about transportation. And we know the challenges that we faced when this year began, and pleased to share that Dr. O'Hare and Mr. Babcock in technology, everything revolves around technology. So Sean is an important part of how you build systems. And so we actually launched new online maps March 7th. And so what that means for a parent or a user is that when they log on and go to the Bernie ISD transportation site, they will see an immediate improvement because we have updated the online maps. So believe it or not, the maps that we were using prior, they did not update. They were maps from around 2015 or so. And so think about how much Bernie ISD has grown since 2015. There were roads that didn't have names yet. And so now we needed to get all those maps updated, and so it feeds properly. And I just can't say thank you enough to Dr. O'Hare and Mr. Babcock for championing that to roll off. And so all of that has to happen right now because we want a smooth user experience when everybody comes back to school in August. So that's just one example of many process improvements we're working through. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's almost 10 years. We've gained like 3,000 kids in those 10 years. You're saying we had not updated the maps?
It's my understanding. Dr. O'Hare, feel free to jump in. We're outdated. So that concludes my report.
Great. Any other questions for Dr. Kraft? All right, good stuff. Okay, next up, we've got our reports. Let's see here. Oh, yes, Ms. Sider, you're up.
Good evening, school board members, President Wilson and Dr. Kraft. Tonight, can y'all hear me okay? Okay. Tonight I'm going to cover special education in section 504. As you can see, we're working on our goals throughout the district, and we focus a lot on student success as our main goal that we work on. We want our students to constantly be improving. We're going to go over some highlights in special education data. First, I'm going to focus on the programs in which they're serviced for the data that will feed into it, that will follow right after. We have our continuum of services. The unique thing about Bernie ISD that many districts do not have is a continuum of services at every program, from elementary all the way up to high school. So this is a neat piece that we provide inclusion services. Majority of our kids are in the inclusion program, which is great because they're with their same age peers in that gen ed classroom. We do provide resource. We also have life skills, behavior supports, and then all the way down to the itty bitties, the 3 to 5 year olds. We have inclusive practices for them as well as self-contained if appropriate. Our first piece of data here that I'll highlight is our program overview of SPED. We look at our numbers. We currently have 2,037 students. This is taken from the PEAM snapshot in the end of October over the last 4 years to show the comparison of our growth. As you can see, we've grown about 200 to 250 over the last couple of years in special ed. This trend is also following the state trend as well for the growth.
Annie, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're
question,
fine.
but I'm looking at that from 2021-22. We had 1,356. Now we have over 2,000. That's about a 50% growth, and our enrollment is grown less than 10%.
Right.
What is that? I mean, that's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. What is the reasoning for that?
Sure. There's two factors. First, we look at COVID. We do have a lot of parent request referrals for initials. And then the second factor is House Bill 3928 that reviewed dyslexia. You'll see in a couple more graphs where we highlight the dyslexia piece. And that's another piece where it opened kind of the gateway to dyslexia and changed the criteria for qualification. Okay, speaking of, here's our dyslexia. This also, when we look at this, we have 1,063 students as of October. It's up to 1,118 as of today. That's a mixture of students under special education and also under Section 504. With that House bill that came about, when you're talking about that, Mr. Senna, with the growth, they wanted students, if they were receiving direct instruction for dyslexia, which takes about 2.5 years to complete that course, they want those students to be under special education by this May of 2025. So we started last August of 2023 when the House bill came out, making the adjustments as necessary.
So am I to understand, I mean, I'm dyslexic, so we're diagnosing 1 in 10?
It's a lot. It's usually 1 in 5. But yeah, you got it.
So does our district do, you said normally it's 1 in 5?
1 in 5 is usually.
Oh.
Yeah. Good questions. Yes.
Why is it, I mean, I'm just wrapping my head around this because that seems like a staggering number.
It is. And they changed in the last couple of years, they've opened that qualifying area under that specific learning disability. And that's what kind of opened the floodgate of that too as well.
So are we like encompassing dysgraphia as well?
Yes, and it's other related disorders as well.
Okay.
So you could have dyscalculia, dysgraphia, and dyslexia. Yes. Okay, this graph, there's a lot on this, but if you focus and look at the orange, that's our specific learning disability area. That focuses where students who qualify for dyslexia and the other related disorders will fall under. You'll see the growth in that. This will also come from our PEAM snapshot from October. And what this does is highlights the top 4 areas that students qualify in our district. We have autism, a specific learning disability, speech impediment, and then also intellectual disability. The other category is the other areas, which is a total of 13 that students can qualify under in the state of Texas. The next area we go into is we look at college and career military readiness. And what we do to support our students in this area is we start to identify them right when they hit high school, know those students who are in the special ed population. We also track them throughout the years to make sure they're going to be CCMR ready. And then we also make sure the coding is correct for graduation so that they receive the credit they deserve for that. Okay, special education programs. I'm going to hit a couple highlights in here as well. We have our 18 plus transition program that's off to a great start in our new building over there. And we have 13 students currently, projecting 20 for next year to start. And when we look at this, there's areas that qualify them into the program. They have to qualify for special education, have modified curriculum, have to be 18 to 21, and also have to make sure that they want to come back and work on those job skills. That's what the program is all about.
Out of the growth that we've seen from the number that we have, the number we're going, are all those kind of in-district students that have been through Bernie ISD?
Majority are through Bernie ISD. We usually get them right off of high school. Every once in a while, we'll have a move-in of a student. Usually maybe one a year is about the average we've had.
Do we help them find jobs? Is that something?
Yes, yes, perfect, yes. We also work in partnership with the ARC of San Antonio and the Texas Workforce Commission to make sure they're connected to resources in the community along with us. So it's a kind of a collaboration of programs.
Okay, so a lot of our community businesses do step up and help out.
Oh, we have great community businesses, and I'll show you a few of those in a minute too that will kind of answer that question as well. There's 3 components to this program.
Annie,
the
real
first
quick,
component.
Real
Yeah,
quick,
I'm
before we
sorry.
move on. So we have 13 now, anticipating 20 next year. What is the historic been? I mean, is that a growing program?
Usually, yeah, it's grown over the years. We started with 4 to 5, probably about 7-8 years ago, and it's grown up about 1 to 2 every year. This next year, we do have a large population graduating.
Okay.
So once they graduate off the high school campuses, this is the next move if they do qualify.
That's good.
And then they have to want to come back too. Sometimes they're connected with other agencies, which is great. And if that's not going to meet their needs, then they do come with us as well.
Do they receive transportation all the way up until 21?
Yes, they do. Yes, that's part of the special ed part with it too. Yes. We have one of the classrooms is called the PAYS Lab, and this focuses on career exploration into the workforce. There's over 256 skill sets that they can perform in that classroom where we can watch them in action to see how they're doing, to see what's appropriate for them out in the field before we take them out and start doing job coaching, which leads to jobs later. They work on resume building and so forth to help with that. That's one piece of 3 that's part of the program. A second piece is self-advocacy. We want to make sure no matter where a young adult is that they can communicate for themselves. If this young lady was struggling with speech, she has her visuals to speak for her. And so those are things we try to give them all the tools they need when they're out in the community.
Does she have like a warehouse job? I see she's in.
Costco or Sam's shopping for their coffee cart that they have to stock.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I got
And
it.
she's putting the coffee. Yes. Good question. And then we do independent living skills. This is huge for this population of students to make sure we can get them into independent living. So it's all around not just the job, but also the living arrangements to help support as they move forward. When we look at the independent living, they look at picking out a menu of what they're going to eat for the week. They go, we purchase the items, they pay for the items, create a budget, and then cook the items, just like we do in our homes every evening. And then the neat part, we've partnered with Student Support Services. Ms. Pomeroy reached out and said, I need y'all's students. And I said, of course. The Care and Share, that's awesome. She reached out to us on that. They will go and wash the clothes, hang them, organize them, and help support that program. We also have the coffee cart they're working on. They make banana bread. They've done a potato bar. They have something they're kind of working on each week for that area. They have the greenhouse going, and they're working on that to figure that out, how that works best for them. And then also a cookbook that they want to work out to work for the whole district to bring in together to sell as an item. Community connections, and this is a area you're talking about those community partners. Here's just a few. This isn't not exhaustive of a list. We have many that we go out and work with. They do volunteer work as well. They've gone to Texan House before. We work at Hill Country Daily Bread weekly. They also go into the jobs. You can see them at Walgreens. H-E-B is huge for us right now, and Bernie Middle School North Cafeteria. And doing that, we're going to put on, we have Workforce Wednesdays at the high schools, and Miss Raina came to us and wants to put one over at 18 plus, which will be a great opportunity for all those students to go and do interviews with companies and see what's out there as jobs as well.
So with these connections, once they graduate from the 18 to 21, is it possible that they may go to work with some of these
Yes.
companies?
Mhm. In the past, we've had kids at Taco Cabana, HEB, we've had Whataburger, Pizza Hut, Walgreens. Yeah, so they do go out to different ones, yes.
Right.
The hard thing for them is sometimes keeping those jobs. So our skills, while they maybe get the job, is us helping a job coach them through that. And then we have, I'm going to highlight some of our partnerships that we have for special education. These are some of our 3 partnerships that we've had over time that just keep growing and getting better every year. We have our KC Kids that's housed by the Kendall County directors or Kendall County Fair directors, and it's a free opportunity for us to go to the fairgrounds. It's not open to the public that day, which is great. They house over 185 of our students in life skills, and they put on a rodeo. They do a carnival rides, which is so neat to see, and then also like face painting or a petting zoo as well. They get that opportunity.
Annie, did you say we have 185 kids district-wide in life skills?
Correct. And then we have the Bernie Handmade Market. This is our 3rd year in the Handmade Market, where all the life skills units are making items to sell. They use what they are with their profits. They come back and they buy more funds. It goes into our activity fund, or they go on different field trips, or we say community-based learning activities. It just depends. And with this, we had 7 different life skills units going out, and they did great. They sold things, and I know, Mr. Senna, you're a big purchaser of these items. They sold a bunch of dog treats for a hit, Reese, you name it, succulent plants, so wide variety of options.
You know, there's a community group that I'm a part of, and we had them come to our Christmas party, and they sold a lot. I hope it was worth their time.
No, it was totally worth their time.
But they were, and the people were so impressed at our students. I mean, your heart goes out to them totally, and it was good to see. And they were counting, and they were doing the sales pitch, and then they were doing the sale, and then they giving them the change, and they were functioning. It was really good to see.
It's neat because they're all job skills for them later on. Is what we're doing, is practicing those real life skills. The next area we have is our Get Active Day, and we partnered about 6 years ago with a Believe It Bikes organization. They purchased 13 adaptive bikes for the district that we've had, and they've kept up to date and in shape, and one's at each campus house. They're utilized, they bring them together for a track and field day. They partner with Kinetic Kids, and they go out there, and we have our PE partners from the middle school and the high schools out there, and they're working with each station with the students, so it's a good bonding opportunity. We also invite outside districts like Fredericksburg, Harper, or Ingram. Any questions?
Okay, I got some. One, I got to first say that I feel that we're very, very blessed to live in a community, because I'm thinking like the last couple of months, we had the polar plunge, which I'm glad our president has now made it mandatory for all board members to attend.
It's
y'all didn't
mandatory.
know?
Yep.
Yep. But then you had Bernie Blaze, the basketball game. I mean, that was so well attended. I know we have a big baseball game coming up tomorrow that I'm sure a lot of people, but the Bernie Blaze, that was the most fun, fantastic time to bring my girls to go watch. That basketball game was fantastic. And then you had the Starlight Ball just last. I'm really, really impressed of what our community does, but what would you like to see us as board members or us as a community? How can we step up in more ways?
I just love that y'all are there and present for the kids. That means so much to them and their families, and so I love that y'all are supporting them all the time. That's awesome. We appreciate y'all for that. Definitely, but we do have a wonderful community. They'll do anything to help support. So we appreciate y'all doing that too.
Annie, I have another question for you. Love this program, and I've loved working with Bernie Blaze over the years, so I definitely have a heart for these kiddos. I was just wondering kind of what the support looks like in like an 18 plus program compared to like maybe the younger life skills kiddos, if it's what the ratio is and if there's a difference.
Sure, and that's something we work on. It just depends on the level of the ability of the kids, because we try to staff rooms at a set base level, and then we move up depending on the kids' needs. You could have a unit with 10 to 15 kids that function a lot higher than a unit of 7 or 8 that need more support. So it's kind of depends on the campus and the amount of kids in there and their needs.
Thank you.
I echo what my fellow board members have said, just and how blessed we are. And I know you pour your heart into this, and with the ribbon cutting and the opening of the doors of our new facility, it's really like paved the way for new opportunities. And so I just want to thank you for all of your being intentional and strategic. I got to attend the Get Active Day in Currington this year, and they had their PE pals come meet them at the event to help them. And it's just, everything is for a reason and on purpose. And so I just want to thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all so much.
Thanks. Okay, great. So that was the 504 report. Next up, we've got the CTE report. Ms. Willis.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. It's good to see everybody. Here to give you your career and technical education update for the year. So this will be strategic goal student success. And of course, everything we do with our core values in mind in our district scorecard. In terms of student success, CTE is a big part of this goal. We are a student-centered district. Everything we do ties back to the student. Through professional learning, we're building educator capacity to directly influence outcomes and achievements. We are looking for that 100% goal by 2028. This is the CTE mission and vision. This has not changed over the last few years. I share this with you every year. Some of the key things just to kind of be aware of in the mission statement, you'll notice that we talk about being very collaboratively engaged with our students, parents, and industry partners. We know we need all of those people at the table to truly build those essential skills for our students and give them the best student-centered opportunities to enrich our community and their lives. And then our vision to unify and educate students, staff, school leadership, our greater community. We want to be strategic in our utilization of our resources to truly be able to prepare our students for their future and their careers. And then our goal and our overarching tagline is that we're just here to build career-ready students. That's our ultimate goal in CTE. We are strategic in picking out our programs of study. We do have a large number for a district our size. Some of the things we look at is the region workforce data. That's how we begin designing our programming. And of course, we look also at the scope of our community. One thing about CTE is you can spread yourself too thin really quickly. We really have to focus on preparing our students to be able to come back and live and work in Boerne and be able to afford to do that. So we have to focus on our career data. That's, we say, within a 45-minute drive. It's pretty fair. So when we look at that data, I will tell you that 5 years ago, it was very, very heavy in cybersecurity, IT, health science, and it still is. But I will also tell you that when I look at workforce data now, there's probably about 10 or 12 programs of study that are in high demand because it just seems like everybody needs skilled workers, more and more in Texas and particularly in our area. But these are the big ones. So we do have, as far as what we chose for our high wage in demand programs of study, we do have 18. They live in 11 career clusters, and we do adopt JROTC. Although they're not an official part of CTE in terms of getting weighted funding, we know that they're a big part of career readiness. And they needed a home. And honestly, the legislature has agreed with us. There have been bills that have been submitted over the last several years that wanted to add JROTC officially to CTE and weighted funding. But from what I understand, the billions of dollars that it would cost the state to officially do that is one of the reasons that that hasn't passed yet. But we know that they're a big part of what we do to be career ready. Also, just want to point out that we do align our credentials or IBCs to our programs of study. We currently have 35 that are aligned that are for A through F accountability. So they do help our accountability. But we do have some that are what I like to call our resume builders. When you look at some of our job seeker resources in the area Indeed, just go online and Google, right? Jobs in San Antonio. There is a list of kind of the certificates that show up the most, and OSHA, BLS, CPR, those are some of the credentials that we give because we just know they're just a basic thing that people are looking for. So those are just good resume builders, and we want to continue to be able to offer that. So way back, really even before House Bill 3 in 2016, the governor appointed what we call the Tri-Agency Workforce Initiative. And it basically said, I need these three entities to talk. We need higher ed to talk to TA and to also talk to the Workforce Commission to truly get a workforce in Texas that's ready. We know from their work that we have this higher, arching goal of we need more of our citizens in Texas to get some type of credential. Most of our jobs, to the tune of about 60% in Texas by 2030, won't require a bachelor's degree, but they will require some type of credential that says I have a skill and I know how to do this specific task and I have proof of that. So through that work came this continuum that I wanted to share with you tonight, because this continuum that came about then is still something that very much guides our work in CTE. And it is that students have to learn about the work, they have to learn through the work, and then they need to learn at work. So collectively, I always refer to that as work-based learning. And it's a very important part of how we plan and what we do. And so, I don't think when we think about early childhood through grade 3, that often we're not really thinking heavily about what students are wanting to do in their career path. But we really do need to be thinking about that. So that career exploration has to start early. We're very much in tune with that. And then in the middle grades, we really need to be looking at that preparation piece so that by the time they get to high school, they are in a program of study, they stay in that program of study, they get some type of credential, and they're actually able to go to work somewhere. We would really like it to start that junior year with maybe an unpaid placement. And by the time they get to be a senior, they can be in some type of paid placement. That would be ideal. And now we have a resume, and we also probably have some references. That's our ultimate goal on where we want to go. In terms of our accountability system in Texas, CTE does play a big part, and that has been growing, right? So just kind of a quick, easy timeline of what that looks like. So by 2026, our grads have to be completers in a program of study and have some type of credential or IBC that aligns with that program of study. So we're always working towards that goal of that skill building, credential, or certificate attainment. I, too, wanted to touch on partnerships tonight. I've been here since July of 2019, and one of the first things that was really important to do was to get out in our community and make those partnerships. Of course, we started with our Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Development Council, and I have to give some props to Amy Story and Kim Bloom because I think they've really helped me to build more and more partnerships. The idea behind that also was I knew that having practicums and having programs of study that ended in practicums was our goal. And if we were going to have this quality work-based learning experience for our students as juniors, as seniors, I didn't want to promise something and us not be able to deliver on it. So these are just some of our partners in the community, some of our big partners. Another one that I'd just like to give some credit to is Synergy. They're one of our first partners to really get on board and say, we're going to take students and really allow them to work for us. And they've paid our students and they've done some really great projects with us. So lots of great partners in our community. We too feel very blessed because they are so willing to work with us. But we try to tell our story and tell this story of why this is so important everywhere we go. And that could be a Rotary breakfast. It's really anywhere that we're invited and we can share because we want everybody to understand the importance of this for their kids. In terms of being future ready in the workforce, we have to continue to build those resumes and references. More than half the jobs in the states will require a credential higher than a high school diploma but lower than a bachelor's degree. That's from a July 22 report. So I can tell you that that number has even grown from there. So we're looking at about 60%, and that's why we're pushing this as hard as we are. What do our partners say? Of course, we have our 2 early college high school PTECs that are in those big demand areas of cybersecurity and health science. Our partners in these areas are hospital partners, University, Methodist, our cybersecurity partners, Northwest Vista. They have continually told us that our students really don't need a bachelor's degree to fulfill some very high wage positions in their organizations. The demand is so great that when you go and you look, I'll just use like a sonogram technician for an example. Sometime when you have a minute, just Google that and see what they're making. Quite a bit of money. Do not necessarily need a bachelor's degree, just need a certificate and prove that they know how to do it. They also tell us, partners like Das Greenhouse, the Economic Development Council, have all told us that over and over they're hearing from the community that they want our students to be able to live in Boerne and work where they can commute from Boerne and be able to afford it. And sadly, we are seeing an influx of students come back after having a bachelor's degree and not be able to find a job. So we have got to build those resumes and references quickly and give them some evidence of skill attainment so that they can do that. We did have a CTE audit this year. It happened in early January, right when we came back. It was on site. They asked for a ton of reports and PEMS data, and then come in and they do on-site tours and interviews. It was a 5-year FTE analysis. They looked at our budgets, our spending. They did look at our programs of study, what we're offering in terms of credentials in each program of study, our student organizations, even down to details like our course catalog and the way the CTE portion is laid out, and local expenditure compliance. Overall, I would say that the results of that audit were very positive. Some of the things that will come out of that audit are we are designing a CTE task force right now that will do some work and meet and look at educational specifications for CTE and facilities, and just be able to make some recommendations. We are going to do some improved marketing and branding. We found out that we don't brag on ourselves in CTE enough, and maybe it's just simple signage and branding. And then we'll always continue to analyze and study our programs of study and our workforce and our community needs and our student wants in terms of programs of study. I will tell you that law is always on my short list to add, but I have to look at things like how many additional courses that would mean to add.
I was wondering if those middle school students had hit you up on the way out.
No, but when they say things like that, it definitely resonates and sits with me. Like there was a student on a panel last spring that talked about wanting more options in business. So if you don't know that, I go back and I study the programs of study to see how we can do that. I will tell you that I do tell students that in our programs of study, we've kept them general enough where I can pretty much find one that fits no matter what they want to do, even the law. I tell those students to go in human services. We have a ton of opportunities. We have a partnership that is evolving with our county where we can get students to work with the county commissioners and the judge. And so there are some opportunities there that we can stretch our programs of study and still make those work for all of our kids. And the last thing that I want to leave you with before any questions that you all might have is one of the major initiatives that was very important when I started, because STEM and IT graduates were at such a deficit for us compared to what we needed to be producing for our community and for San Antonio. So we set about to improve that. We started at the high schools because of what I told you. If I was going to promise students that they were going to have this quality engineering program of study, I wanted to make sure that that was such. So we started with Project Lead the Way, which was our curriculum vehicle that we used at the high school. And then we started working backwards. Well, we now are in our elementary schools. Next year, we'll implement our grade 3 4 Project Lead the Way modules, and we want to keep pushing down to early childhood. And this is kind of why this early childhood through grade 12 continuum. We know that with STEM, if students don't, research tells us that if students don't touch STEM and really buy into it by grade 3, they probably won't persevere through those difficult math and science courses and get into engineering and stay in engineering or IT when they're in high school. So we know we have to catch them early. And what's interesting is, especially when you look at the new science TEKs, it's really integrated. So this new science TEKs are incorporating a ton of engineering concepts. And then when you look at STEM, CTE, science, look at what we're doing in early childhood with inquiry-based learning. It all is starting to align, and it really does go together. For years, I've talked about that I feel like CTE is the glue. It's taking all of the core concepts that students study, and it's giving them relevance. And then they finally understand why they need to know all those things, right? Except now I think it's even more so the glue, because I think it's got to be there throughout the whole system. So really working together with early childhood and science, and making sure that we're always all on the same page and we're all trying to accomplish the same goal, which is really to get our kids graduated, get into those STEM fields that are so high demand, and we know that they can do it, and we just want to instill that as early as possible. Me? What questions do you have?
Any questions?
Yeah, on the practicum, you know, I'll run into students, you know, and they'll start talking to them, and they're talking about their practicum and where they work or volunteer or what have you. How many local businesses participate in that with us?
Mr. Senna, I would say over 300 at this point.
300?
And I'll tell you how. Let's just talk about health science by itself. When you look at the amount of students we have in external placements in health science alone, we're looking at around 160 placements in health science alone. Now, are we always still looking to build? Yes. Actually, Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, we'll be having our second installment of the CTE Showcase at Bernie High School. And the goal of that is to leave with our good list of practicum partners and how many students they want to take for next year. So we can get these students set up, because our practicum numbers are growing, and we love that, but it does take more and more business partnership and participation to make that happen. But we know we can do it. That's why we have those big hospital partners coming on board as well. We're working on our MOUs with them, because we're going to have even more health science students to place in about 3 years, and we have to prepare for that.
I know our students are really amazing, and I think like really encouraging the kids, if there was a way that they could just, you know, maybe dream up like where they would like to be able to be placed and go in and start advocating and talking about the program. I just believe that these, if they're not on board yet, I think they would be when they see the quality of students that Bernie ISD is, you know, is producing, and that we're blessed to be a part of this with them. But for them to go out in the community and really just kind of, I don't know, sell this program, sell themselves, and just really start drumming up some other opportunities, I think that would be beneficial, truly. But this is an unbelievable program, and I can't believe I wrote down the 60% by 2030 don't necessarily need a bachelor's, but they need some kind of a certification. That's staggering. That's unbelievable.
Yes, ma'am. We're sending our students for 4-year bachelor's degree, and oftentimes when the students go, they're not really sure even what they want to do.
Right.
So we really have to make sure they know that that's purposeful.
Thank you, Heather.
Just want to thank you for your work on this. I know it's just been amazing, the growth from 2019 when you came on board. So thank you so much. It looks fantastic. And I know there's still a lot of room to grow and keep improving, but thank you. It's great.
Heather, are there any practicum areas where we struggle to find places to put students in?
Yes, so engineering is one, because where the external placement hubs are sometimes difficult for our students to get to for the big firms. Now, we do have some smaller firms on board, and we have some really good partners in engineering who are trying to be creative with our students and establish some long-term projects with them, meet with them via Zoom. So we're working things out. And I do think work-based learning has to be individualized for every student as well. We have to take a lot of things into account when we design what that experience looks like.
I think the CTE showcase is such a great idea because I think sometimes businesses don't quite know the full potential of what they can gain from having the student, and that their opportunities are, they're so smart and they can design and do things that adults, that sometimes we can't. And I know sometimes too that the students have multiple opportunities to visit multiple practice sites within their 1 year. So they're getting multiple experiences. And I know that we're out in the community a lot, and I love sharing this story. And if there's someone out there, a business owner, that wants to get involved and be a practicum host, where would we send them and how would they get connected with us?
Most people are sent to me first, and then I send them to the teacher who's over that program of study and that practicum teacher. And then practicum really sets them up with the student based on what they know about the students and where the best interest is, if that helps.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Willis. All right, next up with the action part of the night. So we've got Mr. Scott up for the financial report.
Good evening, everybody. You've been provided the results of operations for the district through February 28th of 25. Happy to actually present the budgetary comparison schedule this month. The issues with our ERP software vendor that we discussed previously have been resolved, so that we can send some accurate numbers to you. One of the things that you'll see that's evidence of that is the child nutrition fund. That fund to date is now shows a very small surplus, a little year surplus, but that's what we had talked about all along as we started the year with the purchase of point of sale software, and that made it a little bit bigger than they normally would be. And as the year progressed, we expect we would get into a surplus situation. And just a funny note of interest, I conduct a meeting every week with all of the department directors in child nutrition, and they bring forward every day that shows how many meals we sell every day, and the highest day of the week for selling meals is Friday. That's also the lowest attended day of the week. So I was asking what the why that dichotomy. The very simple answer was the day. And they told me that very, very straightforward, that we couldn't have pizza day every day.
Well, I mean, is there some way we could juice up the pizza to have higher attendance on Friday? Do not just pepperoni, but do sausage too.
We'll put together a committee to study that. Coming. The other funds are within operational and budgetary expectations. I don't have anything particularly of note in any one fund to talk about at this point in time. There is no budget amendments for consideration in this report. The district did receive over $83,000 in donations in the month of February, highlighted by the $57,000 donation added by the Carrington PTO for a shade structure and adding in the gym, and we're very thankful for that donation and every other dollar, hour, and service. The last thing to discuss is the monthly report of tax collections. We received $1.8 million in collections this month that brought us to just over 94%. You notice small, about a trend of very small contributions, about tenths and hundredths of a point. It is a decline. The only explanation for that I have for that at the time is it's been noted by the assessor collector, seeing over 65 weight penalty. There is no penalty and interest for somebody over 65 until June. Yet still, there's still a small bad questions or thoughts.
Questions?
Yeah, a couple. You answered the question I had on child nutrition. That's a good trend. Under the debt service fund, looks like we've collected almost 97.5% of our expected revenue, but on property taxes, we're like 94.3. Why are we doing better on the INS revenue than we are on the tax collection?
We budgeted $45,000 in interest income and local revenues for the debt service fund, and we've collected about $500,000 so far.
Oh. So we will probably exceed what was revenue expected for the debt service fund. Will that lead to additional defeasance, or what impact will that have?
Not in this year. We've done our defeasance for this year, but we did adopt an intended deficit in the debt service fund this year to bring because we got more state revenue. No reason to hold significant fund balance in the debt service fund. So we're going to bring that. This will give us more reserves for.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the property tax collection is down a little bit. So I looked at the last 4 years, and you'd have to go back to 21, 22 to have a similar rate. It's very, very small, but that's good to know that. I didn't realize that seniors over 65 don't get a penalty. I like getting that 3% in October. So that's when I pay my taxes. I like getting that 3% discount.
I like your thinking, sir.
Anybody else? Any other questions? No? I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the budget amendments, donation report, and tax collection report as presented.
Got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Great, thank you, Mr. Scott. That brings us to the end here. Future business items. We've got some good stuff potentially next month, including PTEC, so that'll be fun. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
All in favor